In this video, I'm going to go through 100 of my favourite easy life hacks for eco-friendly and sustainable living. This is a tip that I haven't actually seen many talk about, and it's cleaning behind your fridge. Now, I don't really look behind my fridge, and I don't think many people do. After a certain amount of time, the back of the fridge ends up becoming all dusty, and a lot of dust will gather behind the fridge. And what happens is that after a while, because of that dust gathering, it means that your fridge needs to work harder in order to do what it needs to do. So what I do is every 6 months, I clean behind the fridge. So I just got like a feather duster or something like that. But do it obviously really gently. You don't want to damage your fridge, obviously. But yeah, every 6 months or so, just keep it dust free, and it just ensures that the appliance is working efficiently. So we know the impact the plastic straws are having on the environment. So my tip is that when you go to a restaurant, it's okay to say to a server, "Is it all right if I have my drink without a plastic straw?" Sometimes, because what I have found myself is that when you place your order, sometimes they just bring you a drink with a straw in it, which I personally don't like it. So it's okay to say, "Is it possible if I can have my drink without a straw?" And if you're with a group of people, there's a possibility that maybe quite a few of the others will say the same as well, especially if you don't use a straw. I appreciate for some people they need a straw, and that's fine. But if it's something you don't need, just it's okay to say no. When it comes to washing your clothes, one of the best tips I've always given and I've always mentioned is making sure that the washing machine is full. Make sure it's a proper full load, because there's nothing, you're using the water for a wash load, so maximize what you can actually wash. Um, if you're doing multiple smaller loads, obviously that means more electricity, more water, more not fabric softener as well, but washing powder as well. And it's just going to cost you more money. So it's more cost effective and obviously better for the environment, and better on your energy bills if you do a full load. So for example, I've got hand towels. I don't wash them. I've only got we like sort of use two hand towels at a time, and whenever they're ready to go in the wash, I don't actually wash them until I've got more towels ready to wash, and then I'll wash them all in one go, because I won't run the washing machine just for two little hand towels. So make sure the loads that you've got, they're full loads. Whenever anybody asks me, "What's your number one eco tip? What's your number one eco swap?" I always mention Safety Razor. I absolutely love this product. Now, I started shaving my legs when I was 15, 16, something like that. And I don't even want to think about how many razors I've used, and it's probably still sitting in landfill somewhere. I don't even want to think about it. So I switched to these probably about maybe 4 years ago. They were probably one of the first swaps I made. So these are, all you need to do is replace the blade inside. Now I've got a blog on my website with the benefits of using a safety razor. It's a one-off cost. So the actual razor itself is a one-off cost. The only replacement you need to buy is the internal blades. Now, if I remember rightly, I'll have to look it up, but if I remember rightly, I think a pack of 10 blades, they're probably about £2-3. Obviously, that means that in the long run, you're going to save quite a bit of money. And these, if you get a good quality safety razor, that will last a really, really long time. So this particular brand that I use is Jungle Culture. I'll pop a link below if you're interested. They do loads of different colours. They do safety razors with stands as well, so it doesn't have to sit like that. It can actually just sit like that. But I absolutely love these. They are, I mean, when you first use them, it does take a bit of getting used to, because they are top heavy, but it's a good weight, and you can tell it's been made really, really well. So this was always going to be my first tip whenever I recommend to anybody if they're looking for an eco swap. This is my first thing. So I've stopped using paper towels in my kitchen, and I have done for probably about 2 years now. So because they can't be recycled, they're made of very small fibres, and they can't actually be recycled. So what do I use instead? So I've got. So I think we're all probably familiar with these hand towels. Well, when they get to a point where they're at, doesn't matter how many times you clean them, they're just a little bit grubby. What you can do is cut them up into quarters and just stitch the ends, and then you could just use that as paper towels. And because it's obviously a towel, you can put it in the wash once you've got a full load, with hand towels or anything like that. And this is brilliant because I clean a surface. I've got a little tub next to the sink. And once I've got a pile and I've got a wash load for like towels and stuff like that, I chuck them in as well. And they are brilliant, and it saves me, and it's a really good way of reusing something that you've got. Um, just because something gets a little bit tatty or something like that, I think this is definitely one of the things I really like. I mean, doesn't stitching doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not a professional at all. I do have a sewing machine, but I really am not a professional. I mean, I've got my daughter to do this, and she's like 9 years old. So that's a really good tip. Plus, it'll save you money as well because you don't need to buy paper towels, and that's always a good thing. So this is something that I saw somebody else do, and I thought, well, that's actually a really good idea. So for example, when you're in the shower or you're gonna, rinse your hands in the sink or something like that, and you're waiting for the warm water to come through, just get a bucket and capture the cold water, because otherwise it's just going down the sink and it's just a waste. So what you could do, I mean, what I tend to do is any water that I capture, I just go and put it in my water butt outside, and I'll end up watering the plants or something like that. So that's a really good way to save some money, is just capture it in a bucket and yeah, just water your plants or anything like that. We've probably seen this on posters, but you know what, I'm going to mention it anyway. Light bulbs, where you can, change them to energy saving ones. They do what they say on the tin. They're going to last a lot longer. They use a lot less energy, and they are they're a really good way of saving money. So where you can in your home, change to energy saving bulbs. So when it comes to when the weather starts changing, obviously it means that we need to start thinking about our energy bills and everything like that. One of the things that is a great way to keep heat in the house is check for drafts. And they tend to be sort of underneath the doors and areas like that. I've got a blog on my website that showed how I made a draft excluder from just stuff that I already had at home. I didn't actually buy anything else. It was just bits and pieces that I had lying around in the house. I used a sewing machine. Like I said, I'm not very good at using a sewing machine, but I was really impressed with it. It was my first attempt. I was really happy. So I'll pop the link below, and you can actually see how you can actually make one of your own. Many of us will be familiar with the impact that single-use coffee cups are having on the environment because they can't be recycled. So don't be afraid to take your reusable cups with you. They're both insulated. This one is from Disneyland Paris, which I bought. When did I go? I think it was 2012. I went, and it says, "Morning isn't pretty." I'm not a morning person, so that's perfect for me. But it's okay to use these, and they're better for environment. If you get a really good quality one, they are made well, and the insulation is really good. So where you can, use one of these. This is one of the tips I absolutely love, and I follow it religiously. Buy secondhand where you can, and it's such a great way of also saving money, which obviously for a lot of people, money is a massive concern. It means that you're buying something that's already been created. It's already gone through the production process. It's already used all the resources that it's used to create it. and somebody else doesn't need it. So the couple of things that I bought recently. So I bought a pair of high-heeled shoes from a charity shop, and these hadn't actually even been worn. They weren't scuffed on the bottom or anything. They were still brand new. I bought that for £3. I bought a cabinet for the living room, a display cabinet, and it's quite a tall one. And I think brand new, it's about £120 or 130. We got it for £50, and it was here. Somebody was selling it in the village locally, and that was great. I bought a pair of trousers yesterday from a charity shop. That was £3, which would be perfect for summer. I always buy my jeans. I work from home, so I practically live in jeans. So I always buy my jeans from a charity shop. And I don't think I've actually spent any more than £5 on a pair of jeans. I think one of the pair of jeans still had the original tags on it, so nobody had actually worn it. You can actually save a lot of money when you buy stuff secondhand. So where you can, if you're able to, buy something secondhand. So most households in the UK, and probably other countries as well, will be familiar with these. And I don't know about you guys, but I have loads of these. Whenever we get a takeaway, I will not, unless the container's cracked, I will not throw these away. And these are great for storing food, because there's nothing worse than throwing away food that, it could probably be eaten the next day. So use these containers where you can. They're a really, really good way of using food and not wasting them as well. Whenever I've mentioned this in the past, it does tend to be a little bit controversial, but this is all about you doing what works for you. It's about reducing meat consumption. Now, that may not be a possibility for a lot of people. Maybe you just really enjoy eating meat. I eat meat myself. So look at maybe having one meal a week that doesn't have meat in it. So there's quite a good, obviously social media is a really, really good place to look up. So if you look up hashtag meat-free meals or meat-free Mondays, you can, there are so many recipes out there that are meat-free. And I've grown up, I didn't enjoy eating vegetables at all. I just didn't like it, and I wasn't very good at it. Now that I'm much older, now that I do the cooking, there are a couple of meals that we have that are meat free. I do try to aim for one, maybe two, definitely one meat free meal a week, which obviously helps to reduce our meat consumption. So where you can, if you would like to give, and plus if you'd like to give it a go, just check out Meat Free Mondays, and you'll find loads of ideas and loads of recipes if you want to get started. So bamboo toothbrushes, if you ditch your plastic ones in favour of these, because toothbrushes can't be recycled, and there's probably a very good chance that our toothbrushes are sitting on the landfill somewhere, and that's pretty gross. So I use bamboo toothbrushes. I absolutely love them. Just replace them every 3 months, and that's fine. This particular, I can't remember the brand, but they get you get this really cool. You can order this really cool travel case as well. It's brilliant for if you go traveling or something like that. But I'll put the link below. I'll have to have a look to see who it is, and I'll put the link below so you can get yours yourself. It's really frustrating when you've got an appliance and it just stops working. I think we are really used to just throwing it away and just buying a new one. So let me give you an example. I've got a kettle, and as we all know, kettles, they need descaling every so often. And a friend of mine, she had a kettle for about 2 years, and she didn't descale it at all. Understandably, it stopped working the way it was supposed to. And what she did, she threw it away and she just bought another one. Now I said to her, I said, why didn't you descale it? She goes, oh, I couldn't be bothered. Now, obviously, that means that it's cost her more money. It might have been cheaper if she tried to descale it herself. What I have seen a rise in is repair shops, and obviously there's the BBC program about it as well, on how to repair something and bring it back to like its original form. But if there is a way that you're able to repair something, obviously don't hurt yourself. You know, you don't want to stop playing around with electrics or anything like that. See if you can find a local repair cafe who might be able to get your device or your whatever it is working how it was supposed to work. And plus, that's going to save you money again in the future as well. So that's something worth considering. Something that I wasn't really taught at school was how to repair clothes. And I'm not talking like an expert, I'm talking about, learning to sew a button back on, or just like doing just the bottom of a hem, or even don a sock. Now, I'm not an expert at all when it comes to needlework, but if I've got, like, for example, if my daughter's got a hole in a pair of sock, I will repair it for her. I've only got like a little kit. I've got a sewing machine as well, but obviously I'm not going to lug that out for just repairing a small hole in the sock. There are loads of videos on YouTube that show basic repair skills, and I think learning how to repair clothes is such an important life skill, not just for women, men as well. And it saves you money as well. There's nothing. I knew somebody who she threw a shirt away because one of the buttons had popped off and she didn't know how to sew it back on, and that obviously that meant she had to replace it, which meant obviously it cost her money. But just simple repairs, just learning how to do simple things like how to sew on a button, how to do just basic repairs, I think will probably save you a lot of money in the future. When you go to the supermarket, try and opt for fruit and veg without plastic. There is, to a certain extent, I think there are certain items that need some sort of plastic wrapping just to preserve the food for longer. But for example, bananas do not need to come in a plastic bag. Okay, they don't need to. I think recently there was a UK supermarket that said potatoes need to be stored in paper bags. And I remember reading this on social media. I think it was on Twitter. And of course, I went straight to the comments section. And the amount of people that said, well, why don't you sell potatoes in paper bags then? If you're telling us to do it, how about you sell it in paper bags? Try and get fruit and veg where you can, just buy them loose, and that just reduces the necessary unnecessary waste for all this plastic. Just so much of it is really, really not needed. So for example, you can buy apples loose, they don't need to come in a plastic bag. Bananas, like I mentioned, they don't need to come in a plastic bag. So just think about when you're at the supermarket, can you get a loose version of what it is that you're trying to get? I think I heard Martin Lewis mention this one, and he said, heat the home when you're in it, which makes complete sense. Now, obviously, that means that you are benefiting from the heat in your home because obviously you want to keep yourself warm. It doesn't make sense heating the home when you're not in it. Sometimes it's nice to come home to a warm house, and if that's the case, just change your timer and make sure, if you know what time you're coming home, put the heating on for about half an hour just before you're due to come home. That's also a really good way of saving money. Yeah, but heat the house when you're in it. So there's that one. Where you can, embrace organic farming and try and opt for foods that are organically grown. Now, I appreciate this isn't a possibility for everybody, so if you can, great. If you can't, you can't. Organic farming means that they haven't used loads and loads of toxins to grow your food. There's nothing worse than having all these toxins and chemicals in your food. So if it's something you can opt for, go for it. One of the things I actually love that I've been doing in the last couple of years is having houseplants. They're a really good way of purifying the air. So I've got a spider plant, and I've got a couple of I've got 3 snake plants and 2 peace lilies. I've got an orchid, and I've got some other ones as well. Now, when I way back when I was given, I think I bought a plant. I think it was a cactus, really little thing, and yeah, I killed it. I don't know how you kill a cactus, but I managed to kill a cactus. But now that I've learned how to look after plants and bottom up watering, there is a link on my there's a blog on my website that shows exactly how um, I use this technique to make sure I don't overwater my plants, because otherwise, if you water your plants and then you've just got water sitting at the bottom of the pot, eventually the roots will start rotting and everything like that. So if you want, get house plants. They're actually there are quite a lot of house plants that are really, really low maintenance. I've gotten better at looking after plants. So I would suggest, if you want to help purify the air, and plus having green in your house is actually quite nice, because it just makes you feel good. So it's also a really good way of, caring about something else as well. So get plants for your house. So when it's time to replace your white goods, your washing machine, your dishwasher, your fridge, have a look at the energy saving symbols, and you'll see an energy saving rating. And by law, in the UK anyway, white goods have to display this. And it's a really good way of telling you whether that appliance is energy efficient. One of the appliances that I've noticed are really, really bad are TVs. The energy rating for TVs are really, really low. I think for a lot of them, because they don't actually have an off button, they still have them on standby. Even though something's on standby, you're still using electricity. So I don't understand why you can't just have an off button. But anyway, that's a whole different story. So look for energy saving ratings on any appliances that you're going to be buying in the future. Have a look online to see if you've got a local zero waste shop. And the great thing about this is that you turn up with your containers and you just fill up exactly what you need. And that's what you pay for. You've got your own packaging, so no unnecessary waste packaging, and you're paying for what you need. And I think this is a really good way of reducing waste as well, because you're not wasting food, there's no plastic waste. And yeah, so I think my local one, she has a pitch in the nearest town. So whenever I don't go into the town particularly often, but when I do go, I try and make sure I take any containers with me, and just I fill up exactly what I need. I'm sure many of us use reusable cups when we're out and about, but I actually use them at home as well. And the reason for this is because I drink a lot of tea during the day. And sometimes if I've got a cup of tea sitting on the side, and if I'm engrossed in a task or something like that, half an hour later, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember my tea. It's nothing worse than drinking cold tea. This is brilliant because it keeps my tea warm, and it keeps it warmer for longer, which means I don't have to drink cold tea. Obviously, that means that you don't have to throw away a cold half cup of tea. You don't have to keep making new ones, which obviously will save you money as well. So I think I was given this. I think it was like from a client for Christmas, quite a few years ago, and I use it every single day. So it might be worth, especially if you work from home and you drink a lot of tea or coffee and you need to keep warm, invest in one of these. I think they are brilliant. So when I moved to this house in November 2022, now that we've got a bigger garden, I got the compost bin up and running. Never had a compost bin before, so I learned what I could, and it's still going, so that's good. But one of the things that I noticed is that I needed to keep, obviously, all the cuttings and everything, all the bits and pieces that were going to go in the compost, I needed to put them somewhere. So what I did is I started to create these compost bags from newspaper. And it's perfect because it just sits quite nicely in the margarine tub. And then once you fill it up, you just pop it straight into your compost. And because it's newspaper, um, obviously that's perfect. That'll be fine in your compost bin. Now, I don't buy newspapers. I haven't bought newspapers for, I couldn't even tell you how long. So my half, he goes to London, he's a football season ticket holder, and on the train, a lot of people tend to just leave newspapers lying around. So he knows when he sees one and he's on his way home, he knows to pick a load up for me. Now, I do have a video on how to make this yourself. I'll put the link below so at least you can have a look. And yeah, I mean, they don't take, if you make a handful at a time, every time you need it, you just grab one. Once it's full, just put the whole thing in the composter. And yeah, so it means I don't need to buy biodegradable bags. Of course, that means it saves me money as well. So yeah. If you have to print from home, I'm sure we've probably all heard this one before, but try and print on both sides of the paper. Obviously, that means that you're utilising both sides of the paper. It depends also what you're printing. If you're printing something that's really highly sensitive or really confidential, obviously that means you can't print on both sides for something else, and you just need to shred it, and that's fine. But where you can, just print on both sides of the paper. Put a big line across the one side that you don't need. Put it back to front in the printer. And next time you need to print something, yeah, just use the other side, and you know that means you've utilised that bit of paper and you've used both sides. So this eco tip isn't for everybody, but you know, and that's fair enough. I wear odd socks. So one of the reasons is because I'm too lazy to match up my own socks, and secondly, is from an environmental point of view. So when you've got a pair of socks and you've got one that's got a hole in it, a lot of times people tend to throw both away. And I think that's a bit of a waste because you're throwing the other one away when it still functions fine. This would mean that you would need to repair the one that has a hole in it. If you try to repair it and it just doesn't work, or you just can't do it, then you get rid of one sock, but then you've got the other sock that still has a function. And that's why I think if it ends up going to landfill or ends up going in recycling or anything like that, I think it's just a complete waste. So yeah, embrace wearing odd socks. It's okay to be different. And plus, who's going to look at your feet anyway? It never bothered me. It's okay to be different, and it doesn't matter. So embrace wearing odd socks if you fancy it. A lot of cleaning products we have nowadays have quite a few toxins in them, and there are going to be, if you have a look at some of the back of the products, it will say, you know, not suitable for aquatic life or harmful to the environment and stuff like that. Just imagine what that does when it goes down the drain. Now opt for eco-friendly alternatives, or you can actually try and create some of your own. So I've got a video on how I created toilet cleaners, the little tablet type bombs that just go straight into your toilet, let it fizz, let it do its thing, and then just clean the toilet as normal. That's all that was made from stuff that I bought from my zero waste shop, from my local zero waste shop, and they are a fraction of the price, and they don't have all the toxins that you would get in traditional cleaners. So have a look at possibly trying to create some of your own stuff, or you know, have a look online and look for eco-friendly, you know, products that actually care about the environment, you know. And you just have to be really careful that you know who to trust. And if you're not entirely sure, speak to friends and family. I've got quite a few videos on stuff like that as well. Speak to friends and family, look for recommendations and ask for people's advice. That's probably the best advice I can give. It doesn't take long for our shower heads to get all caked in 9 scale. But there are quite a few videos out there that show how you can actually clean your shower heads with vinegar, and you just leave them soak overnight. You put the vinegar in a bag, and then you put your shower head in it and leave it overnight. And I've done this quite a lot of times, and it's absolutely brilliant. It means that you can have like a proper shower again, which is quite nice, and it's not just like dribbling out. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing nice about it just trickling out. And sometimes you just want to have a decent shower. So yeah, there's loads of videos out there. Cleaning with vinegar is a really good tip for, especially when it comes to shower heads. This may not be a possibility for everybody, but where you can, try and buy in bulk, because in the long run it actually ends up being cheaper, and it actually uses less packaging in the long run too. So there are places where you can buy stuff in bulk, and if you look at what it would be per 100 grams and what it would be else, you will notice that it actually costs less to actually buy in bulk. Obviously, that means you need to have the money beforehand, and that isn't always a possibility for everybody. But if you can, if this is a possibility for you, then go for it. So, this next tip is definitely weather dependent. If you can, where you can, hang your clothes up outside for it to dry, and try not to use your dryer. Now, I don't have a dryer anymore in this house. We did before and used the dryer during the winter and just hung the clothes out in summer. Now, I appreciate that isn't a possibility for everybody. It all depends on the space that you have available. But if you can, hang it outside because it's free. So let nature just dry your clothes out, and it just smells a lot fresher as well when it's dried outside. So if it's something you can do, definitely go for that, because it will save you money on electricity by not having to use your dryer. So this is something that I wasn't taught about at school, and I think it should be a life skill that we probably all should have. Is learning how to grow your own food. Now, you don't actually need a hell of a lot of space to be able to grow your own food. I mean, you could start with something really small, like potatoes. You can just get like a sack with soil and get some potato seeds and grow some potatoes. I personally only grow stuff that I like and I consume and I will consume. So I've got potatoes at the moment. I planted them, I think, about a month ago. I think it was a bit late this year, so I planted that about a month ago. I've got strawberries growing, and I'm going to attempt carrots again. I didn't have much luck last time. Something in my garden was eating them, so I've learned a few tricks now. But you don't actually need a hell of a lot of space if you just want to try one thing. Potatoes are really, really, I think, easy thing to grow. So give it a go. Just see if there's something that you would like to grow yourself, and yeah, try that. If this is a possibility for you, I'd suggest give it a go. Rather than buying bottled water, drink tap water. Now, you can also there's loads of places where you can get water filters as well. So you can get a jug with a water filter. If you're not too sure about the tap water, probably adding a water filter will probably be a really good option for you. But obviously, this means that it reduces the need for buying plastic bottles that probably just end up in the bin or end up in recycling anyway. So if that's a possibility for you, I say go for it. This is something that I found out about recently, and I didn't realize that Teflon coating, once they've got marks on it, they can actually leach into your food. I wasn't even aware myself that this could potentially happen. So I've actually started learning how to cook with stainless steel cookware. So, and I quite like it. So I've got a frying pan which I practically use for all my meals. I absolutely love this frying pan. It's a stainless steel one, um, and it's just about making sure you learn how to. You need to wait for the pan to be ready, There's quite a few videos that shows you. I think what I'll do at some point is I'll do a video as well. I'm in the process of slowly upgrading my cookware and ditching the Teflon stuff in favour of the stainless steel stuff. I definitely prefer that. I find it easier to clean as well. And now that I know how to use stainless steel properly, I find that my food doesn't actually stick to the pan, and it just makes my life a lot easier. So if you are going to be looking at upgrading, try and opt for stainless steel instead of Teflon coated products. I know in recent years there have been a lot of libraries that have closed down in the UK. But if you're still lucky enough to have a library in your local area, get yourself a library card and borrow books. It means that you don't have to go out and buy any books. And if you every time you borrow a book, the author still gets royalty because thanks to the borrowed books. So where you can, if you've got a library, get yourself a library card and just borrow books. So now everything is digital. So many aspects of life is digital. Think about going paperless. Do you really need a printed statement to come to your house? There might be some people who do, and that's fine. But for the majority of us, we can access all of these things online. Um, so, do you need your bank statement? Do you need your energy statement? Do you need your council tax bill to come through? Do you need your phone bill to come through? Everything is all online now. And there's so many places when you go into certain accounts, there is a paperless option. And just it's a lot better than having to have all this paperwork sitting on a pile somewhere, and then one day you've got to do something with it, or you've got to file it, or then maybe you've got to shred it or something like that. It's just a waste. So where you can, just go paperless. If you're anything like me, you'll probably have like a decluttering session every few months or maybe every 6 months and stuff like that. So it would be a really good idea if you go through all the stuff that you're getting rid of and have a look to see if it's something you can sell. If you can make a bit of money from it, that would be great. If you really want to, have a look to see if it could be donated. Or maybe you could just gift it to somebody and just say, oh, I don't need this anymore. When it comes to having kids, this is a really good thing because I've got a friend of mine. Their daughter is older than my daughter, but they still got a lot of her stuff. So every so often, like once a year or something like that, they give us all of their daughter's old stuff, and it's all good stuff. I mean, we've got we've had a couple of jackets from them and stuff like some really really good quality stuff. What you want to do is try and avoid it going to landfill. So think about what you can do, and obviously make sure they are in good condition. You don't want to donate something to somebody that's practically falling apart. You just don't want to. So have a think about when you're decluttering what you're going to do with the item. Where can it go? Who can you gift it to? Who can you donate it to? Can you sell it? Are you happy to sit there and list all the things and sell them? So just think about, because what you want to do is you want to avoid it going to landfill. So buying food seasonally. We are so used to having all the fruit and veg that we want in our supermarkets all year round, and they will come from all over the world. But buying seasonally is really good because you are buying what has been produced in your local area. So this is one of the reasons that I grow strawberries. I will not buy strawberries, any other time of the year. I think probably once maybe I've bought it because I needed it for something. But we will only eat strawberries if we've grown it. So I've got a strawberry plant on the go at the moment. I've got to wait a little while until we get strawberries from that. But try to eat seasonally, because that means the food hasn't travelled from such a long distance as well. And plus you're supporting local businesses. I appreciate this isn't the case for everybody. This may be not a possibility for everybody, and that's fair enough. But it's just something worth thinking about. we've all heard this tip before, and you know what? I'm going to say it again. When you're brushing your teeth, just make sure you turn the tap off. You don't need to have the tap running. It's just going to waste water just going down the drain unnecessarily. So when you're brushing your teeth, just make sure you just turn the tap off. And that's quite easy to do. A great tip for reducing water is to fix leaky taps. Now, it reduces your overall consumption. I think people don't realize how much water they can waste or gets wasted from leaky taps. Now, this was a couple of years ago, I had a leaky tap, and before I contacted somebody, a plumber, to obviously get it fixed, I actually put a bucket in the sink, just out of interest, to see how much water wasted. Now it was quite a big bucket, and it was probably about 5 liters of water. Just I think I put it in the sink probably about 8 o'clock at night, and then I checked again at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's what, 12 hours. Yeah, that's quite a lot of water that just would have gone down the sink. Well, did go down that bucket, didn't, but obviously before I did that, a lot of water was going down the sink. So get leak taps, get them fixed as soon as possible, because that you waste so much water from doing that. So with condenser dryers and dehumidifiers, they collect water. What do you do with the water? Well, you can't drink it. So what do you do with it? Putting it down the sink is quite a bit of a waste. So we've got a dehumidifier. I don't have a condenser dryer anymore, but when I did have that, I used to use the water to water the plants. And obviously that just meant during the colder periods where I couldn't hang my clothes outside. I've got a dehumidifier here, and the water collected, I just pop straight into my water butts, and I can use that water for watering some of the plants in the garden, or anything like that. So rather than wasting it, think about how you can actually utilize it, maybe at a later date. One of the tips that I learned probably about a couple of years ago is about overinflating or underinflating your tires. Each car, I think most cars, they come with a manual, and they tell you what the correct tire pressure should be. If you overinflate or underinflate, it means that the engine needs to work harder, which means you're using more fuel. And with the cost of fuel at the moment, the last thing you need is to buy more fuel, when there's ways that you can actually use it, I guess, sensibly. So just check your tire pressure every so often, just to make sure. Obviously, all tire pressures are going to be different, so you need to check your manual. But have a look to see, just make sure it's inflated at the correct amount. So when it comes to menstrual products, I've been using tampons since my late teens, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I didn't. I mean, we've all seen stories of what wet wipes do to our drains and our sewers and everything like that. I didn't realise that menstrual products did the same kind of damage. So I swapped to period pants now, and I've been using period pants for probably a couple of years now, and I absolutely love them. They're brilliant. So use pants, and then just put them in the washing machine. Obviously rinse them first, put them in the washing machine, let them dry just like you would any other item of clothing, and reuse them. And what it does is that you've bought the thing once, and I think period pants probably have like a 5 year lifespan, or probably a little bit more than that, obviously depending on how well you look after them. Whereas with single-use menstrual products, you're making a purchase every month, and especially in the cost of living crisis at the moment, there is a lot of stuff out there about period poverty. I absolutely love my period pants. I know there are some people who use the menstrual cup. I've used the menstrual cup before. I personally couldn't get on with it. Now I work from home, so I think if you're in an office environment, I'm not quite sure how using like a menstrual cup would be easy. I don't know if it would be, but obviously you need to try what works for you. But period pants are something that I love. I have done a review on pants that I have, and I use them. I exclusively use them now. I don't have. You can get different flows as well, so you can get, like for example, if you're really heavy, you can get overnight ones. You can get so you've got really heavy, you've got heavy, medium, light, and they come. They started coming. They used to come in black, which I don't think was. I mean, I do have a couple that's black, but I don't think that's really helpful because menstrual pads they're white, and you can tell if you're heavy or if you're light or any stuff like that. So now period pants have started to come in different colours, and you could be able to tell if you're having a heavy day or a light day. So period pants are definitely my favourite thing, but you know it depends what's available in your area, and it also depends on what you're comfortable with. You know, and if it's something that you've tried and it's like, you know what, it's not for me, that's fair enough. You tried it and it doesn't work for you, and that's cool. So a good way of reducing water consumption is having shorter showers. Now, obviously, the shorter the shower, that means you using less water, which you know is perfect. I think 10 minutes. I think normal people say about 7 minutes, but I always say about 10, especially if you've got long hair and that kind of stuff, or you need to shave your legs or whatever it is you need to do in there. So if you can have shorter showers. So I was debating whether to add this one or not, but you know what? I'm just going to add it. Let's just go for it. Peeing in the shower. Now, by peeing in the shower, it means it's going to save you a flush, which saves you water. So that's one of the things. Now, I appreciate this isn't for everybody. Please don't do it in a public place. Do it in the privacy of your own home. This is definitely a personal choice. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this one. Totally up to you. But please don't. If you're going to do it, please don't do it in a public place because that's just gross. When you go out shopping, there's a very good chance you'll probably get a receipt for your purchase. Where you don't need a receipt, just say you don't need one if that's an option. I appreciate not all places offer that as an option. The reason I say this is because receipts can't be recycled. I do have a video. I've created a short on my YouTube channel, and it shows you exactly how you can tell whether your receipt can be recycled or not. So check it out. And if you do have the option and you don't need a receipt, just say no, you don't need a receipt. As somebody who works from home, I don't really exercise a hell of a lot. Where I used to live, and I used to do a school run, I used to do about 10,000 steps a day because going back and forth, back and forth. But the area where I live now, the school is literally just up the road. So I'm probably lucky if I do about 500 steps a day. If you want to do something to get the heart pumping, and one of the things I try to do is take the stairs where you can. Um, Obviously, if it's like 30 flights of stairs, the last thing you want to do is give yourself a heart attack. So you don't want to be doing that. But if it's something you think you can do, just just try the stairs every so often. Coming down the stairs is a lot easier as well, I find. But yeah, try and just get your heart pumping, a little bit of exercise, and it's free to do as well. So when it comes to skincare, I think many of us are going to be familiar with these pads. Opt for cotton reusable pads. Now, this is like a little pack that my friend got me, and they've got quite a few different pads in there, which are perfect because it came with a little bag. So you put the used pads in there and just pop them in your wash load, and just clean. And then you just keep reusing them. Nothing goes in the bin. You don't need to buy a load more cotton pads in 2 months, 3 months time. You know, you look after these. These are going to last a really, really long time. So where you can, opt for reusable ones. So what do you do with your empty makeup bottle or containers? There are many places, for example, in the UK, there's supermarkets and like a local chemist. They will have recycling bins where you can actually recycle. Um, you can drop in your old makeup and they will recycle it for you. So it means you're not chucking it in the bin and it just ends up in landfill. So that's a really good way. Just have a look. They're not always that obvious. So, I mean, if you're not sure, you can just ask somebody who works there. Just say, look, do you have a facility where I can recycle my old makeup? They probably do, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. So, when friends and family are just really generous when they would give us gifts for Christmas or birthday, a lot of us will get these kind of gift bags. What you can do is reuse them, and they are brilliant. I mean, I've got a bag of bags that I just reuse, and for different occasions. There's birthday ones, I've got Christmas ones, I've got christening ones, I've got your first baby ones, and all that sort of stuff. And you can get stuff that doesn't actually have any writing, so it could be used for any occasion. And these are brilliant because then it saves you money because you're not going to buy more gift bags. They're not going to landfill. You're reusing them. You're essentially re-gifting them. Just nobody knows that it was gifted to you in the first place, and that's fine. Obviously, make sure you take the tags off because if people write on the tags, it's nothing more embarrassing than giving that bag to somebody else and it's still got the original tag on it. So make sure you just take that off. But this is a really really good way of just stopping something from ending up in landfill and you're reusing it. So yeah. Shampoo and conditioner traditionally come in plastic bottles. What do you do with these plastic bottles? They've got to go in recycling. How about opting for shampoo bars? There's a lot of the shampoo bars will come in paper wrapping, which can be recycled, and then you've got the bar, and then you just obviously use that how you want to use that. It means it's reducing your plastic waste as well. Sometimes shampoo bars last a bit. I personally find that they last a bit longer because when I've got a liquid, I'm just pouring a massive load in my hand. Whereas with the shampoo bar, you can actually, because I actually just use it straight on my hair, and just use what you need. So I think it's a really good way of reducing your plastic waste. Obviously, everyone's hair type is very different. Maybe you've tried it and it doesn't work for you, and that's fine. But if you haven't tried it, it's worth giving it a go. This may not be a possibility for everybody, but if you have the option and have the facility near you to get your milk delivered, I highly recommend giving it a go. So I always remember back in the day, we used to get our milk delivered, and whenever we put the empties out, my dad would put a little check in the bottle in the neck, obviously to pay the bill. In the last 2 decades or so, we're so used to just going to a supermarket and getting our milk, but obviously they come in those plastic containers. We actually get our milk delivered. We did when we were at our old house, and we found a place locally that does it as well, and they deliver it. It turns up on your doorstep. Obviously, they're in glass bottles. You drink your milk, just rinse out the bottles and leave them on your doorstep, and it's done. All the payments, everything done is online. When you for this particular company we use, they can you've got a login as a customer login, and you can select how many you want. I've set it up once, and I haven't had to change it, and it's just absolutely brilliant. And it's easy. It is stress free because last thing I need to do is worry that we're going to run out of milk. They've always delivered on the days that they are supposed to deliver. And then plus we haven't got any plastic bottles that we need to put in the recycling, and that's reducing my plastic waste as well. So if that's an option for you and you want to give it a go, give it a go. When it's a friend's birthday or close friend's birthday or family member's birthday, rather than buying them stuff, why don't you gift them an experience? So it could be tickets for the cinema, like a gift card to the cinema if they're huge, if they love going to the cinema. Um, maybe if it's a big birthday, maybe a few of you could get together and buy maybe theatre tickets and stuff like that. It was my friend's birthday a while back, and we went to, I rather than buying her something, we went to London and we had like a really nice afternoon tea. And I got to spend the day with my friend as well. And I think that's really nice because you're actually giving you're creating memories and you're spending time with your friends. Sometimes it's really easy just, oh, okay, I'll just here's a gift and something. For some people, they get stuff and it just sits in a cupboard because they don't want it and that's a waste of your money. um and it'll just sit there gathering dust, and which is a bit of a shame. So unless there's something in particular your friend likes, maybe just spend the day with them. Do that instead. Or maybe, if your friend and their other half want to go out one evening for a meal and they haven't been out in such a long time, maybe you can say, look, you know what, I'll babysit for you for free. You guys, I'll look after the kids, you guys go out for a meal. Give that sort of a gift. Do things like that. So yeah, rather than giving stuff, maybe think about an experience or do something with your friends. Whenever you go out, um, some places still give you, very few places, but still some places still give you plastic cutlery. Just make sure you say no, and napkins as well. You don't need like a massive wad of napkins. It's just a waste. So make sure whenever you go out, or if somebody, or if you see it, just say, look, no, I don't need that. That's fine. When it comes to searching on the internet, majority of us are going to be familiar with Google. But I've discovered a different search engine called Ecosia. I think that's how you pronounce it. And they plant trees with every searches that you make. And obviously, that's a good thing. So, Ecosia, Ecosia, you can use that as a search engine as well. So, if you're new to gardening and you need compost, it's a really good idea to opt for peat-free compost. Peatlands are so crucial to protect biodiversity, and last thing we need to do is touch any of that. So, if you need to get soil, make sure you get peat-free soil because that's definitely a more sustainable option and it's better for the environment. So this may not apply to loads of people, but if you have a hot water tank, I heard somebody say that it would be a really good idea to make sure it's insulated because obviously you want to keep the heat in, which will obviously save you money in the long run as well. But we don't have a water tank, but I'm sure there are probably still people out there who do, and if you do, might be a good idea to get it insulated. So one of the things I think is important for so many people, so many of us to learn about is greenwashing. So there are companies out there who are being really, really clever with the wording that they use and the imagery they use on their product and saying something's environmentally friendly or it's been created with the environment in mind when it really hasn't. And because they're aware that there are people out there who want to do better for the environment, well, that's how they can sell a product. Now, obviously, not every company is like this, but you need to know about greenwashing. So, for example, if you've got one of the things that makes me laugh a lot is when a fast fashion brand um, releases a line of sustainable clothing, because that is greenwashing. Like, that's yeah, that's a lot of greenwashing because everything else in their store is mass produced and produced to poor quality, and it's just produced to sell, just to go out, and it's not really designed to last. And then they've got this one line of clothing that's sustainable. Um, that's a really good that's a really good example of greenwashing. Another one that I've seen is when you get those 2 litre fizzy drink bottles, and on the packet it says made from 30% recycled plastic. Okay, but 70% still virgin. That's greenwashing. So what you need to do is learn about greenwashing and get better at how to spot it. A lot more people are more aware of what greenwashing is, and that's great. But there needs to be a lot more awareness on it. A lot of wrapping paper is actually made out of plastic. So think about opting for wrapping paper that can actually be recycled. And if you're not sure whether wrapping paper can or cannot be recycled, what you need to do is go online and search the scrunch test, and you'll probably find some videos on how you can tell the difference between what can be recycled and what not, and how to quickly identify what can and what cannot. A couple of years ago, I saw a program on tea bags, and I think it was on the BBC. And what they did, they got I think it was like five or so tea bag brands, and they took them to the lab to see if the actual tea bag completely degrades. And there was quite a few of them that still had, it basically looked like a plastic skeleton shell of the tea bag. So because of this, I mean, obviously that means there's microplastics floating around in tea. Opt for drinking loose leaf tea. Now, when it comes to these labs, the companies will say, oh, well, it's been, we've tested in a lab and it's great. Well, a lab is a controlled environment. The natural world is not a controlled environment. So I know there are a lot of companies that have switched to, fully biodegradable tea bags. And so, to be honest, I don't really trust most of them. So it's easier if I just personally, I drink loose leaf tea and I really love it. So if you're able to ditch the tea bags and go for loose leaf, that's probably a better option. I think something that definitely needs to start being normalised is regifting. So whenever we have friends and family, they gift us something, they're kind enough to gift us something. It's not always something that we would probably use ourselves, or maybe it's not quite the right shape or right color or right size or anything like that. And of course, you can't say to the person, "Oh, this isn't really my thing," because you don't want to hurt their feelings. But what happens with that particular gift? Chances are it'll probably sit in a wardrobe somewhere or a cupboard somewhere, just gathering dust. There's nothing wrong with just wrapping it up and giving it to somebody else. I have done that a couple of times with some gifts that I was given. I don't like a lot of body wash stuff and all that sort of. And this particular brand, it wasn't really for me. Um, so obviously I didn't use it, and I actually regifted it to another friend um, for her birthday, and she really loves all this luxury body lotion and the spa treatment stuff. She absolutely loves that, and so I gave it to her, and somebody else got some use out of it because I personally I wasn't going to use it myself. So I think regifting definitely needs to start being normalised, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Plus, it'll save you money in the long run as well, and it stops from this item, you know, from sitting in a cupboard somewhere. And there are some people who, if they get something they don't want, they actually just throw them away. I mean, it could be donated. Um, it doesn't need to go to landfill. So think about regifting. Let's start normalising that. So we give greeting cards for loads of um, loads of different occasions: birthdays, wedding, Christmas, blah blah blah. How many of us actually keep all the cards that we've been given, or the cards that we've ever been given? And for a lot of these cards, they can't actually be recycled because they've got embossing on them, or they've got ribbons on them, they've got glitter and all that sort of stuff, and they can't be recycled. So one of the things that I have started doing this year is sending e-cards. So I actually send e-cards when it's somebody's birthday. It's a lot cheaper, um, and they still get a card and they know that I'm thinking about them and I want to still wish them a happy birthday or Merry Christmas or anything like that. And plus, with the e-cards, you can actually personalise them, and it doesn't actually cost a lot. So if you've got like a couple of pictures of you and your friend, or something like a group photo, you can create your own cards, or you can personalise them however you want. And I think that is quite nice, because if you get something like that printed, then it does actually cost you quite a bit more money. So yeah, so if you are thinking of a way You still want your friends to know that you remembered their birthday, but you want a way to save money. Think about sending e-cards. It's definitely a good option. Now, if you're like us and you do your food shopping online, there are quite a lot of places that ask whether you would like your shopping in bags or not. Um, where you can say no, you don't need. I mean, we don't need more bags. So if this is an option for you, and you're happy not to have any extra bags or unnecessary bags, um, there's normally a a little box, and you just say, I don't need carrier bags with my shopping. And yeah, for some places actually that will remember whatever you've picked, it will remember it for future deliveries as well. So yeah, less plastic bags. So this is something I didn't bother with in my early 20s. I did not know what washing symbols meant. I would just chuck in all my clothes in the washing machine, and I have over the years ruined quite a few nice pieces of clothing. I had this really nice jumper. Obviously, I didn't know how to wash wool, or I didn't bother looking up how to wash wool. And yeah, I put it in my normal wash, and yeah, you can imagine what's happened. I recently published a blog on my website, and it's got a list of the main washing symbols, what they mean, what you can and what you cannot do. So that's a really good way of looking after your clothes to make sure that they last longer, is to wash them correctly. So I'll put the link below, and you can have a look to see what you can wash, when you can wash it, and how you can basically keep your clothes good for longer, so you don't need to replace it. You've got ages to go before you need to replace it. So yeah, I'll check out the link. I'll pop the link below. I've noticed in definitely last, I don't know, 10 years or so, probably, yeah, about 10 years or so, that clothes are so cheap. And for a lot of people, that's great. But the problem is that they don't last very long. They're not, when something's been cheaply made, it's not designed to last. So that means you need to replace it more often than you would do if you bought something that is probably a little bit more expensive but higher quality, and it's designed to last, because it will save you money in the long run. Obviously, that means you need to have a bit more money to buy the thing in the first place. But buying something that's better quality will save you money in the long run, because you don't need to replace it anywhere near as much as you would do if you bought something that's really, really cheap and simple, and it's not designed to last. So think about buying things that are probably, and it probably might be a little bit expensive as well, but it's always worth making that investment, that initial investment. And if it saves you money in the long run, that's always going to be a better thing, isn't it? Emails have a carbon footprint. So this one is specifically for unwanted emails, for example, newsletters. Each time you're sent an email, or you send an email, it has a digital carbon footprint. So what you need to do is unsubscribe to newsletters that you no longer need. And there's probably something you signed up for, I don't know, 5 years ago or something like that, because you purchased a product and somehow you automatically wound up on their mailing list. Rather than just deleting it, just unsubscribe to the actual newsletter if you don't need it. So yeah, that's a really cool. And it takes quite a while to go through, and because obviously you need to unsubscribe as and when you get the newsletter. But I think the ballpark is about 3-4 weeks. Once you start unsubscribing, obviously that means there's less junk in your emails every morning when you open it. So that can only be a good thing. A great way to reduce food waste is knowing how to store food correctly. So I'm going to give you a quick example. So I bought a load of carrots at the weekend, and what I do is I put the carrots in a jar with water and pop that in the fridge. Now I've been doing this for a while, and the longest and they still stay crunchy as well. And that's why I do it. Obviously, because I don't want to end up throwing the carrots away and wasting them. So I've managed to get, I think, 2 weeks The carrots have lasted 2 weeks and they're still crunchy. I change the water every week just to be on the safe side. Um, so it's about learning how to store your food correctly so it lasts longer and it's ready for when you need it. So this one's about deleting old emails, which the more emails you have, the more storage is used up on servers. So be honest, how many emails do you have in your inbox? How many do you have in the folders? I went through my emails a while back and I think I had it was like 4,000, and some of them were from emails that I don't even remember half of these people. I've had my email address since I think since 2000, so there were quite a few in there that was like, oh my god, I don't even know this person anymore. I haven't spoken to so long. Obviously, there are going to be some emails that you do need, but if it's emails that you don't need, like if you had a notification that you bought something online like 10 years ago, you probably don't need that. But obviously, that's a judgment call. So go through your emails and start deleting the stuff that you don't need. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to know how many emails that you found before you actually started deleting them. So this is one that I only found out about recently, and my mum actually does it. So it's using vegetable peels, create and using that to create a broth, which is a really good way of using something that would probably go in the bin or be composted. I mean, there's loads of recipes online. If you have a look to see how to make your own vegetable broth, chances are you've probably got a lot of what you need anyway. But this is a really good way to reuse something that you probably end up just putting in the bin or just in the compost. So most of us, whenever we've got errands, we have to go from place to place to place to place. When you're doing errands, just make sure that you do everything you need to do, because then you don't need to create multiple journeys and go back. And it's probably a good idea to make a list, because there's nothing worse than you've done loads of things and you come home and say, oh, I forgot to go to the dry cleaners, or I forgot to pick up a card or something. Make sure when you're going out, you've got a list of all the errands that you need. Of course, that means it's going to, if you've got the car, or if you've got to catch a bus or something like that, you're saving your own time as well, because you're doing everything while you're out and about. You don't need to come back and then go back out again. If you've got the space, get yourself a water butt or two or three. And what this does is it collates the rainwater. And what you can do is you can use that water to water the plants. You don't have to use the water from your tap, obviously, because you pay for that. Rainwater, it's free. All you have to do is collect it, and it's a great way to use what is completely free. Really, all you have to do is buy the water butt. The rain falls, you capture it, and you water your plants. So, yeah, I like that one. So this is one that I wasn't aware about. So since people have started working from home, obviously video calling is on the up. I didn't realise that using the video during your call uses a lot of energy. Um, so if you can have the call but turn the video off, obviously it's a judgment call. And if you're having a call with, somebody who you work with or your manager, last thing you want to do is annoy them. So this is really a judgment call, but it does use a lot less energy to have a call without a video, because sometimes you don't always need the video. So just something to think about. So for a lot of us who enjoy our garden spaces, weeds are a problem. When it comes to the lawn, I don't touch the weeds on the lawn, but in between paving slabs, I do. They are an issue. So I've got a blog where I've created, where I've written about a weed killer recipe that's better for the environment, and is one that I use in between the paving slabs. I don't touch the weeds actually on the lawn. So I'll put the link below, and if it's something you want to check out, feel free to check out. So when you're out and about, or you go to a show or something like that, like a conference show, um, we are always handed loads of freebies. You don't have to take everything that they give you. And I know it's really tempting. There are places that will give you a water bottle. Well, if you've already got 4 water bottles, you don't need another one. How many more pens do you need in the house? So just think about when somebody hands you stuff, just think about whether you actually do need it. It's okay to say no, thank you, it's fine, or that's fine, that's not a problem. So if you don't need it, I mean, somebody if this company gives you a badge with their branding, is it something you're going to walk around wearing? Probably not. So this is a really good tip to make sure you get your money's worth from product. If there's something that comes in one of those squeezy tubes, and it feels like it's ready for the bin, cut the end off. Get your money's worth out of that. If it means you can only just get one more, like for example, in toothpaste, if you can get one more bit for brushing your teeth, do it. Just do it. I personally don't like cling film. I haven't bought it for a couple of years. I don't use it. And people use it to cover bowls of food and stuff like that. You can use a plate. You can use a lid. It's not a problem. You don't have to always use cling film. So maybe think about using plates, or maybe using lids, or something else. So yeah, but those are other options, or the alternatives, I should say. When you go to work and you need lunch, make sure you take your lunch in a reusable container. I know, I mean, it probably sounds obvious, but if that's something you can do, it's definitely worth doing. You come home and just wash it and then use it next day. I mean, something, if you look after it well, it could last for a very long time. So definitely consider doing that. Go litter picking. If you see rubbish on the street, get yourself a little pick, grab a couple of friends and create a little group and just go out litter picking. It's free to do. It's you're going out in the fresh air, you're away from your devices. It's quite a good little social thing as well, because you can have a chat and you can laugh about what you found and all that sort of stuff. And you're doing something good for the environment. So go litter picking. I went once. I've been quite a few times. And one time, I actually found a £5 note. So yeah, obviously I kept it. Um, you never know what you might find when you go litter picking. A great little tip is ditching plastic scrubs and using loofahs instead, because loofahs can go straight into the composter, whereas obviously plastic scrubs can't. These are actually grown, and yeah, and they're quite easy. They're quite good to scrub with as well, and yeah, they can be composted when you don't need them anymore, when they've got it past its shelf life. Um, these are better for the environment. Check out your local area to see if you've got any farmers markets, because that's a really good place to get fruit or veg. A majority of it isn't going to come in plastic, and you're also going to be supporting a local business, a local farmer, and that can only be a good thing as well. So yeah, have a look online. There are some places that do have them, and there are some places that don't. So just have a look and see what you can find. So a great way to avoid food waste is, if you go to a buffet, don't overfill your plate. Because the great thing about buffets is that you can go back. So just put on your plate what you think you're gonna eat. And if you once you finished it and you're still hungry, you go back again and get some more. You don't have to worry about food waste. So only take what you're gonna eat. Trying to find companies that support um, the environment and have good ethical practices isn't always easy as it should be. But there are good companies out there. There are companies who do genuinely care about the environment, and there are companies who do have ethical practices when it comes to their production process. Do your research and have a look. And a good place is the website. So when you go to a company's website, if their practices or stuff like that is like hidden away really, really deep in their terms and conditions, that's probably not a good sign. Any companies that's any company that's proud about what they're doing for sustainable living and talking about the ethics of their whole production process, they will be really proud to have that somewhere very, very easy to find on their website. And that's really the first probably good indicator of um, of whether they are a good company. Also, just be aware of if there's an eco-friendly brand, just have a look to see who their parent owner is. Um, it could be that that brand cares about the environment, but the parent company not so much. So just make sure you do your research and have a look for yourself. Impulse buying is a really, really difficult thing to snap out of. We are so used to, if we see something and we like it, we just want to get it straight away. And this isn't always the best thing, because, and I think Martin Lewis said that if there's something that you've seen, have a think about, do you need it? What are you going to use it for? Can you afford it, and all that sort of stuff. So have a think. If there's something that you've seen, do you really, really need it? Do you, yeah, do you really need it? And just really think. I think probably about 2 weeks is probably a good time to decide whether it is something that you want or not. So just, yeah, have a think. Do you need it or not? When it comes to washing our clothes, a lot of microplastics are released into the waterways because of the fibres that have been used, like polyester and the synthetic materials. So when you buy clothes, try and opt for natural fibres like cotton or organic cotton and that kind of stuff, and hemp. That's all good stuff, because whenever you wash that, you're not going to have microfibres going into the waterway, or microplastics, I should say, going into the waterway. So this is a tip that I've been using for quite a while. Charge your phone on airplane mode because it charges a lot faster. When you put your phone on charge, it's going to, obviously it's charging, but all the background apps are refreshing and updating all the time. If you put it on airplane mode, the only thing the phone is doing is charging. It's not worrying about background apps. It's not worrying about checking your emails or receiving WhatsApp messages or anything like that. It's literally just going to charge your phone. So, and it charges it a lot quicker as well. So that can only be a good thing. I think it's important to learn what certain recycling symbols mean. So I've got a blog on my website, and it has the main recycling symbols, and what they mean, and what kind of plastics can be recycled, what kind of plastics they come under, whether it can be recycled or not. And I don't think many people are aware of this. I certainly wasn't until I started looking into it. There are certain plastics that cannot be recycled at all. So yeah, I'll put a link below, and then yeah, you can have a look for yourself. Grab your mates, go and sit and enjoy nature. It's free, it's great for your mental health, and you just leave all the devices at home and just sit and chat with your friends, get something to eat, and just take a picnic or something like that, if that's your kind of thing. Just enjoy nature. It's beautiful, and it's free. So that's probably one of the best reasons. And I said before, it's great for your mental health. So yeah, enjoy nature. I've recently seen a growing trend of upcycling things, and I think this is brilliant. I absolutely love the fact there are so many people who are so creative in creating new things out of things that no longer probably have has its purpose anymore. There's loads of upcycling workshops popping up all the time. And there's loads of websites as well. There's loads of people who are so incredibly creative. They make something so amazing out of something that looks like a pile of garbage, really. So yeah, so have a look online. This is such a great way to just be so creative. So this is something that my dad used to tell me when I was younger. If I was cold, put a jumper on. He did not want to turn the heating up or even on at sometimes. So if you're cold, just layer up. It's just a lot easier. I work from home. Sometimes it gets a bit chilly during the day, and I'll just put, I'll put a cardigan on or a jumper or something like that, and that's in most cases that's fine. There are going to be times where it's part of times of the year where it's just too cold. That's fair enough. But other than that, even my old housemate, she used to say, "Oh, you're cold, just put a jumper on." So yeah, and it saves you money as well. Social media is a really, really good place to find people who are like-minded. Um, so when you because you care about the environment, find like-minded people who care about the environment too, and it's amazing what you can learn from them, and maybe something that you do that's eco-friendly and they probably didn't even realize themselves. And it's just sharing this knowledge and talking about the things that you care about and the things that they care about and how it all aligns together. So find like-minded people. So if you get old Christmas cards or old greetings cards and you like, I don't really need this anymore, rather than chucking in bin, because a lot of them can't actually be recycled because they've got embossing and all that sort of stuff in it. You can cut them up in little pieces and create gift tags for gifts for the following year, or for anyone's birthday or anything like that. So it's a really good way of reusing something that would have eventually just gone into the bin. So rather than actually buying yourself gift tags, and plus it's going to save you money because it means you don't have to buy any gift tags. So that's always good. So this is something that I don't see a lot mentioned a hell of a lot, and it's about using a fountain pen. Now, I really love using my fountain pen, but sometimes people are like, how on earth is that eco-friendly? So obviously, the fountain pen comes with these cartridges, and what would normally happen is that they would end up being thrown away and then just put another cartridge in. That's not what I do. So I have a glass ink bottle, and I've got a little syringe that I bought. So basically, I refill the cartridge, so I don't have to buy new cartridges and throw a plastic cartridge that probably can't be recycled ends up in landfill. I don't have to do that. So, and because you're only using them, well, whenever you use them, you just refill it. Nothing, nothing goes in the bin. I bought this. A friend, no, I didn't. A friend of mine bought me this a couple of years ago, and I absolutely love writing with fountain pens. I've still got traditional pens lying around the house. Every house has got pens everywhere. But this is my. I absolutely love this. So if it's something you want to give, you want to try, maybe you can get yourself a fountain pen. Bees, we need them. We need them. We need insects, but we need bees. So if you have the space in your garden, grow sunflowers. They absolutely love it. Colourful flowers, just they wildflowers. They absolutely love it. So if you have space in your garden and you can grow sunflowers or wildflowers or any kind of flowers that's really colourful, I think they really like lavender as well. We've got to help them. We have to help them. So I would suggest, if you can, grow these flowers. Try to repurpose what you have. And for a lot of people, not everyone's creative, and that's fine. Um, but there's so many places on social media where you can type in, if you've got something, how can I reuse this or how can I upcycle this? And there are so many creative people out there that you'll get so many ideas of what you can repurpose something as. So, for example, I've got, and this obviously not particularly big, but we've all got these kitchen towels. And after a while, when they get quite grotty, what you can do is cut them up into quarters, into little bits, and obviously just sew along the edges, and that you can use that as kitchen towels. So you don't actually have to buy um, paper kitchen towels, and you can just use these and put them in the washing machine when you're done. Um, and that's a great way to repurpose something that I had before. It didn't end up in landfill. I'm using it for something else. There's loads of there are loads of ideas on social media, and it takes a bit of time to sometimes find what you're looking for. You never know, you might come across something on social media, thought, oh, that's a really good idea, and you save it for another time, and that's brilliant. So try and reuse something, repurpose something that you already have, and obviously that's going to save you money too. So if you're having a celebration or something like that, um, try and have decorations that you can reuse over and over again. So when it's my daughter's birthday, I use the same happy birthday banners that I've had for the last 5, 6 years now. We don't have balloons. She knows I'm not a fan of balloons because they can't be recycled. They just sit in landfill and just cause all sorts of problems to the environment. We've all seen loads of pictures of what they do to wildlife and stuff like that. So we don't have balloons, but try and use decorations that you can reuse over and over again. And plus, obviously, that saves you money in the long run. So with this tip, I guess it's all about learning from other people and trying to change with the way we live our lives to become more sustainable. And if there isn't anybody who you can learn from, be the person that you want, be the change you want to see. Okay, and you could probably be an inspiration for other people. Okay, when it comes to sustainable living, it looks very different for everybody. It isn't a one size fits all. So I guess something I say a lot on my social media, and I've said it in a few videos, is start small, do what you can, build from there. So re-wearing outfits, especially to weddings, there has been for quite a long time a stigma re-wearing an outfit to a different wedding just in case somebody else sees it or somebody else recognizes it and stuff like that. Now, I do wonder, and this is just my own personal opinion. I think women are probably more fussed with this than men are. I'm not entirely sure if all men would notice things like that. Now, if this is something you're concerned with, borrow dresses, borrow outfits from friends, because buying something new every single time, just because you're worried somebody else is going to say something, um, I I personally it doesn't bother me. So I bought a dress for my brother-in-law. He got married about 6 years ago, so I bought a red outfit for that wedding. I wore that same outfit for when my brother got married. And then earlier this year, I wore that same outfit for my other brother in law who got married. So, and people have seen those outfits before, and it really doesn't bother me. Um, it's I don't think people pay much attention to what a guest is wearing. Um, and if you're wearing the same outfit again, doesn't matter. You're using that outfit again. You're getting your money's worth. And that's the important thing. You're getting your money's worth. And sometimes, especially when you go to weddings, depending on what you spend on an outfit, it can be really expensive. So maybe don't be so worried about. I know it's probably easier said than done, but don't be so worried about what other people are going to think, because there are going to be people out there who just think whatever they want to think. And you know what? Let them get on with it. That's fine. If it really does bother you, borrow outfits from friends. And that's what quite a few years ago, my friend did that as well. She had, I think, in the space of 6 weeks, she had like 5 weddings, like most weekends. And again, she was worried about something not being able to wear the same outfit in case somebody else saw. And obviously I said to her, had a little bit of a laugh, but she borrowed. I think she borrowed 2 outfits from me. She borrowed 1 or 2 outfits from other friends. She borrowed one from her sister, and that stuff. And there's always ways around it without having to spend um, more money on an outfit. So definitely something worth thinking about. So we've all seen the posters, and we've all heard loads of people talk about. But you know what? I'm going to mention it anyway. Whenever you go out, take a shopping bag with you. Just have one folded in your bag. When it comes to going to a supermarket or anything like that, a good tip that we do is we've got shopping bags in the back of the car, so we don't have to worry about, oh dear, we've left our shopping bags at home. Now, a while back, my other half saw these shopping bags that sit in the trolley. So when you get to checkout, they actually sit. They're these ones, and they're about the width of a shopping trolley. And as you obviously the checkout is doing its thing, you put whatever you need to in particular bag. They come in a pack of 5. Now, ages ago, he really liked the idea of it, but I looked it up and it was like something like £15. I said to him, I'm not spending £15 on shopping bags. But I found these actually in a charity shop. I think they were about £4 or maybe £5. I can't remember. But they're completely brand new. They hadn't been used. They're still in the original wrapping. And these are really great because you've got 5 and they come in like different sizes. So when you're going through checkout, you can separate what you're buying. You've got food in one, and you've got cleaning products in the other, and you've got small items in the smallest one. And I think these are great. So if you do see them in a charity shop or something like that, I think they're a really good investment. So where you can, leave your car at home, walk or cycle instead. Obviously, that means that you're going to be reducing your carbon footprint, and it will also save you money because you won't be using that fuel for that little part of the journey. I appreciate that's not always a possibility for everybody, and that's fair enough. But just where you can, if you think you can, leave your car at home and go for a walk, or maybe get a bike if you fancy it. Whenever you're out and about, make sure you take a reusable water bottle with you. This will mean that you don't have to go, if you're thirsty, you don't have to go buy a drink, which in majority of cases will be in a plastic bottle. In the UK, I don't know if it's anywhere else, but in the UK, there's a website called refill.org. And if you type in your postcode or the postcode of the area you'll be visiting, they'll have a list of areas that you can refill your bottle. A lot of places are quite nice about, if you say, is it all right if you refill my bottle for me? And they'll be fine. That doesn't, a lot of places, I've never had anyone say no. So take your refill bottle with you wherever you go. Another tip is when you go food shopping, make sure you create a list. The great thing about this is that you're more likely to stick to it. Don't go to the supermarket when you're hungry, because then you'll just want to pick loads of stuff that you probably don't need. One of the things that really helps is doing a shopping list, and do that on the back of a meal plan. So I've got some meal planners on my website, and I'll add the link below. They're meal planners that I actually use myself to make sure that I have what I need for that week and I actually stick to the list. So yes, make sure you have a list before you go shopping. This is a hack that so many of us have heard so many times before, but I'm going to mention it again. If you're not in a room and the lights are on, turn them off. You don't need to have the lights on in a room that you're not using. So always just make a habit of turning it off. I always remember when I was growing up, my brother and I had a really, really bad habit of just leaving the lights on everywhere. And my dad used to kind of yell up the stairs and say, well, why is all the lights on? Is it Diwali or something? Which, as children, we never quite understood. But until you become a parent and you've got to pay the bills yourself, you kind of get it. So if you don't need the lights when you're not in that room, just turn them off.